From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Nigeria Labour Congress to begin two-day nationwide warning strike Tuesday next week. Nigerians skeptical over subsidy removal want a policy reversal to address current economic hardship. Road safety official dies as 3 others sustain injury in Abuja accident. Also in the news, tourists from Morocco shot dead after straying into Algerian waters. Good evening and welcome to the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Abuja as the Nigeria Labour Congress is set to embark on a 2-day nationwide warning strike on 5th and 6th of September. The national president of the NLC, Joe Ajero, told newsmen on Friday that the strike would be a total and indefinite shutdown of the nation. The NLC president spoke at a press briefing after the union's National Executive Council meeting on Thursday night. Noel Sampson reports.
Forward, ever, backward, never.
Organized Labour is unhappy with what it calls the federal government's refusal to engage and reach agreement with organized labour on the critical issues which have impacted negatively on Nigerians. Of course, on top of the plate are the consequences of the hike in the price of petrol, which has unleashed massive suffering on Nigerian workers and masses. To compound matters, the union is uncomfortable with the renewed onslaught against trade unions and the leadership by the state and its agents across Nigeria. The NLC claims the police, under the instruction of certain forces paddling the name of the president of the federation, have invaded and occupied the national headquarters of the NURTW, making it difficult for the union to discharge its responsibilities to its members across the nation.
Let me take from the last. And the last is very interesting. The last is like teaching us how to do our job. And the last is like asking the trade unions to be very dictatorial and not submit themselves to social dialogue. You can see the number of days we have given us notice. If the demands are met, why won't we talk within this period? What are we asking for? That these issues be addressed. If we don't talk, after shutdown, we'll still come back to talk. So which one is better? I want you to understand how we work. Even at the last minute, last hour, to the expiration of our ultimatum, the trade unions will talk. That one, it doesn't matter how it is being conceived, because we are out to find a solution, not to create more problems. So if they invite us for meeting, we'll talk. On the issue of the court order, of course, you have predicted it, that they will go to court. Or it has become a normal phenomenon for court orders. However, to the extent that I want you to understand the issue of power relation in industrial relation.
He said the next resolution was to embark on a total and indefinite shutdown of the nation within 14 working days or 21 working days.
To commence a 2-day nationwide warning strike on Tuesday and Wednesday, 5th and 6th of September 2023, to demonstrate our readiness for the indefinite strike later in the month, and to also demand that the state vacates the illegally occupied national headquarters of the National Union of Road Transport Workers. To embark on a mass protest and rally in Imo State within this month of September 2023 in preparation for a shutdown of the state to compel the state government to stop the abuse and violation of the rights and privileges of workers and trade unions in the state. The FCT minister failed to stop forthwith the attack on workers and thousands of Nigerians through the demolition of houses, which are mainly for the masses and the less privileged and the third of the earth, that NLC will engage the minister on the streets of Abuja.
Nigerians are hopeful the government and the union will come together to a roundtable and have solutions. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Staying with stories on the removal of fuel subsidy, the debate over fuel subsidy continues to inundate the policy since the pronouncement of its removal by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his inaugural speech. Nigerians have been struggling with the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy, which is translated into fuel hike, triggering a rise in the cost of living across the country. Some have suggested a reversal of the policy until adequate provisions are made to stabilize the economy. Chamung Dabeng reports.
Several analysts have sustained the argument that fuel subsidy removal was the right thing to do to free resources for the critical sectors of the economy like infrastructure, health, and to help propel economic growth. However, since the subsidy removal, Nigerians have had to deal with hardships attributed to the hike in the cost of fuel. The federal government introduced palliatives to be distributed to the poorest Nigerians to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal. However, despite government's attempt to bring some succor to people in difficult situations, many Nigerians remain skeptical that the palliatives will provide some relief to their struggles in life.
First of all, they said remove subsidy, gone. You are removing without preparing. They told us, the light was that market forces will bring it down. How will market forces bring it down when we are not producing? First of all, we have been having economists who have been speaking effective English every year in, year out, without nothing. Come to the village. I'm from the rural community, and I go and see what the people at the rural community are going through. Have we ever bothered ourselves on how we're going to take care of them? And Nigerians beg us. We are hard-working people, for God's sake. We are hard-working people. Why should palliative worry brought it? Did it work? Now you are bringing palliative. How many people are going to collect this palliative? How many? Is it the farmers in the village or the people in the city? What are the modalities of sharing this? Where is the data?
First, I don't even believe there is fuel subsidy in the first place. It's scam. That's what I believe. And like as you said, whether fuel subsidy can come back to Nigeria. Like I don't believe. But I know if it's true that there's fuel subsidy, then I believe it should come back. Because with the way things are going now, I don't think many people can survive this. Let us be realistic. We don't need that kind of palliative. Let them use all the money to go and repair our refinery. Let them do the refinery. Let it keep working so that everything can work. By providing palliative, providing which palliative? Somebody was saying some time ago that they are going to give us 80,000. Tell me, what is 80,000?
Palliative itself, in my view, is not the best for any government. We needed something that can sustain, because when you talk about sustainability of an issue, palliative is not a sustainable thing continuously. It has a time span in economics. You do it, but for how long will you continue the palliative measure? Vis-a-vis the inflationary trend, vis-a-vis the escalating cost of living, are you going to continue with the palliative? There is no society that will continue palliative. That's not a good economic policy. A good economic policy has to be well thought out idea, managerially.
The recent Consumer Price Index report released by the National Bureau of Statistics show that Nigeria's inflation rate has sustained an upward trend, with the latest figure hitting an all-time high of 22.79%, with a direct correlation in the cost of living. Even though the federal government has reassured Nigerians that the price of fuel will not rise above the current price following calls for further price hikes by independent oil marketers, financial consultant Dr. Hussaini remains skeptical of the government's reassurance. However, economist Dr. Aliu Audu has a different take.
Subsidy, as we say, is not the best for any government. But in any case, giving subsidy to those whom subsidy is due to, I have no problem with that. All right? If it's back in a way that the average or the generality of people that is meant for, that's okay. It is done everywhere, even in the most advanced country. And no country leaves its economy in the hands of demand and supply. No country. I'm more on the side of independent marketers who are saying it is likely. Because they are on the streets. They know what is happening. They are the major importers. All right? Because you and I know it's not once, it's not twice. The government has said no. NNPC has said no, and the thing comes to fruition. You know that very well. So I am more in agreement with independent marketers than NNPC and even the government.
Independent Marketers Association, there's a profit element. Independent marketers. So they are looking at their own pockets. Government, however, looks at the interest of Nigerians. So why don't we listen to the government? Because if the government says it shouldn't exceed a particular amount, or let's say 600 or so, then they will have measures in place. They have the price control board that will regulate anybody that is trying to outsmart the market. Taking up subsidy doesn't mean the government cannot give palliatives to independent marketers. You could give them tax-free landing concessions. You could give them a lot of palliatives, a lot of economic incentives to bring in fuel. Because if you're importing anything to Nigeria, you must pay an import duty.
Many Nigerians have called for the reversal of the fuel subsidy removal plan, pending when the government can take proper measures to ensure a smooth transition for Nigerians. Analysts, however, say that a reversal and the suspension of the fuel subsidy may worsen the suffering of Nigerians and render efforts of the federal government redundant. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, people living with disabilities are some of the hardest hit by Nigeria's rising cost of living, with many continuing to struggle to cope with their financial responsibilities. Sufyan Mustafa is a physically challenged person who is a 300-level student of sociology at the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, who says many people living with disability are now returning to street begging to make ends meet.
The ripple effect of fuel subsidy removal affects every sector of the economy, with poor Nigerians taking the hit. Sufyan Mustafa is one of them. Mustafa said the physically challenged persons are at the receiving end of fuel subsidy removal because they are subjected to more economic hardship.
Some of them do go back to street for begging, which we are fighting to eradicate in the country. We have more than 32 million disabled people in Nigeria and more than 5.5 million blind people in Nigeria, but you will be surprised to hear that only less than 2,000 blind people among these 5.5 million people that are in school, and less than 1,000 in universities.
Mustafa is among the few physically challenged persons studying in the university, but he said many are helplessly leaving school now because they cannot afford the tuition fee.
With regards to the increment of school fees by many universities now, you'll see that most of us are indirectly being expelled from school because they have increased school fees and nobody to sponsor most of our people.
They noted lack of support from government as their biggest challenge.
Anything you can do as a sighted person, I can do. For example, I'm a computer programmer. Yes, I learned 4 programming languages: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, and I can be able to create whatever you can create. And instead of the government to encourage me or encourage us by supporting us ultimately to provide the necessary equipment we use, since we have special equipment for all of these kind of things. No, but we are being retrogressed either by refusing to support us or by depriving the opportunities we have from other sectors.
Mustafa appealed to state government to consider people with special needs when distributing palliatives. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
In a similar vein, a 2022 survey by the Africa Development Bank shows that the middle class makes up about 23% of Nigeria's population. Now, there is a growing change now within that system with the current economic situation in Nigeria, which is pushing a lot of the middle class down the ladder. Yusuf Akogu tells us more.
Middle class is a critical mass that forms the glue that keeps modern liberal democratic society from falling apart. It has always been a driving force in national economic productivity, a social class whose education, taste, consumption patterns, and activities drive the economy. The indices of middle-class living are measures of every country's economic wealth, The challenge in Nigeria today is that this class of people are almost wiped out completely. What is left now is predominantly rich and impoverished people.
I don't believe they are middle class any longer, because many years ago, average civil servant can afford a car, they can afford a housing opportunity, but there's nothing like that again. There's nothing like mortgage houses for our people. There's nothing like car loan for our people any longer. These are things that we have at early 80s.
According to Dr. Larry Oluwaniyi, the so-called middle class may be living above their means, making them vulnerable to any shocks in the economy.
Loan is not a bad thing as an individual and as a corporate organization. And when we talk about internet fraud, it's a criminality. It's against the law of the land. But if people are collecting loan in achieving to live an expensive life, or that is a deceit, that is taking advantage of the systems.
Government, however, believes that a lot is being done to cushion the effect of economic hardship and to ensure every segment of the society is taken care of.
Everything that he has put in place will definitely happen. We have a president who is proactive, we have a president who listens, and we have a president who is passionate about his country. Analysts
are of the view that if the Nigerian middle class is not catered for urgently, they may be responsible for Nigeria's next phase of the uprising. Yusuf Akugu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
In Adamawa State, residents are longing to get their hands on the free 25-kilogram bag of rice being distributed by the state government as part of a palliative package. Salis Lawan reports that the government's initial plan was to sell the price of the rice at a subsidized rate to citizens.
Initially, civil servants were to buy the 25 kg bag of rice at the 10,000 naira only, while the less privileged and persons with special needs will get it freely. But the statement changed its mind to distribute the 60,000 bags of rice free to the residents. Residents called for just, fair and equitable distribution, irrespective of party differences.
I'm confident that this program will reach to the bottom, where it's supposed to be. I'm telling you with confidence, as a member of this committee, that nothing will stop this program going to the grassroots.
We are here since morning as asked by our political leaders at the ward level to come along with 10,000 naira for the 25 kg of rice.
Today, he made it openly, clearly to the public that free for vulnerable groups. And we're part of the vulnerable groups that we're going to collect our own sooner. So they should be patient in the distribution of palliative. It will reach everybody. So people should be patient, especially my community. The people with disability, they should be patient.
There's already a modus operandi that the palliative committee has done for the sharing or distributing the palliatives to each and every most vulnerable person in the community. This palliative came as a result of the hardship people are currently experiencing. I do not think a reasonable mind who has been given his share of palliative will sell it to the market. I doubt if that can happen. And already there's a sound warning from the government and the advice from the palliative committee that people should please make judicious use of the palliatives that they may get from the government.
While flagging off the distribution, Governor Ahmadu Fintri has warned that no government officials should be a beneficiary, as anyone found will be punished. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Still talking palliatives, the Benue State government's plan to empower 5,000 women and 2,000 youths from the 2 billion naira palliative that it has received from the federal government is greeted by mixed reaction from members of the public. Now, this is coming as subsidy removal continues to bite hard on many Nigerians. Jimmy Azande reports from Benue.
Benue State Governor Hyacinth Elia had recently unveiled his administration strategies aimed at cushioning the effect of fuel subsidy removal, which stirred up reactions from residents. Most of the Benue residents say the idea of fuel subsidy removal is a good one, though most families are finding it difficult to meet daily needs.
First thing I would like to first of all establish that fuel subsidy removal is in the best interest of this nation. Having said that, it is very obvious that people are passing through hardship, particularly those from the lower class in the sense that are not, their income was not something to talk about.
The resident also said the empowerment of 5,000 women through grants, 2,000 youths in ICT and provision of 100 buses for intra and interstate transportation, if achieved, are commendable strategies.
And he has already outlined a lot of things that he wants to carry out. And so far they say that about 2 billion he has received 2 billion, and he has outlined many things that he intends to do. That is to create, to give money to women cooperative, about over 5,000. And he's going to train the youth in ICT, over 2,000 youths in the state on ICT, buying of buses for the Benue links, that is to boost transportation.
The residents also react to Governor Elia's policy to pay for all candidates sitting for SSC next year in public schools.
Most especially with the issue of transportation, the governor said he's buying new vehicles to put them in Benue links as a state transport company so that it will cushion the effect of transportation. And for the paying of WAEC fees, there are parents that can't even pay for their kids in the school now for WAEC because of the subsidy removal. But paying of the WAEC fees now, it's also a brilliant one.
The governor recently told Benue residents that he has so far received 2 billion naira from the federal government to disburse as palliatives to the people. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
To some of the day's other news, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, says it has been 10 years since the last time the foreign exchange rate was stable and interest rates were affordable to Nigerians. Edun spoke about the state of the economy at a media briefing in Abuja on Friday. The minister says Nigeria's economy has struggled to maintain stability in recent time as the nation experiences 2 recessions, severe forex challenges, debt, major insecurity that has impacted on production and agriculture. He said Nigerians must contain with the removal of fuel subsidy, which has continued to push up inflationary trends in the economy.
The major reforms that have been implemented as the initial package of measures to correct the errors of the past and to set the economy on a stable macroeconomic footing so that investment can come in. Meaning that in order to start bringing down inflation, the exchange rate, as well as interest rates, as key macroeconomic measures that need to be right so that investment can come in.
The oil and gas industry has huge potential and possibilities of providing all the FX requirements of this country. But you can't do this except you are able to produce and also take it to the market. Because we did have substantial challenges of security, which I also confirm this moment that Mr. President has re-engineered the security approach, and we're already seeing very significant changes in our production environment. And may I also use this opportunity to also say that I was just checking the data for Wednesday. Actual data for crude oil and condensate production is at 1.67 million barrels per day. This is substantial if you look at the situation where we are almost going below 1 million barrels about a year and some months ago. This is quite substantial. And the connection of this to subsidy was that you cannot give what you don't have.
Now, students in Imo State are asking for better welfare on campus to enhance their learning experience. The call is coming in the wake of the visit to the state by the First Lady Senator Remi Tinubu. Ajibade Awofeso tells us more on this story.
The students trooped out in their large number to catch a glimpse of the First Lady. According to some of them, especially the female students, there are germane issues they will love the First Lady to help them tackle. With her position as the mother of the nation, they said the challenges they are faced with on campus hinder academic pursuit, and as such, they seek her immediate intervention.
We have so many challenges as women and also as students in school. I would say if she can attend to the fact that students or maybe females need proper care in the school, she should come to us to look at our school hostels, because women bodies are open and we are open to infections. Do you get? Our hostels are not good again. It is not good looking. Bathrooms and toilets are messed up.
In my school, I think the reduction of school fees. Our school fees is increasing, like the increase rate is on a high level at the moment, and it's really having a toll on the students. Like I would like to appeal that she comes and then maybe talk to our provost and all those stuff to bring down the school fees, and then take out that policy of no school fees, no teaching practice, or no school fees. You can't pay the hostel, you can't write the exam. All those kind of things are what makes students drop out.
The hostel. You see the hostel? The hostel are something else. The hostel, they need to, and the wardens that are there, they need to change those. But those women, they are doing more than required. They are overdoing their works as wardens. They should look into the hostel.
Also speaking, the male students said the visit of the president's wife will gladden their hearts the more if it will have direct positive impact on their lives.
I really want her to see into our school activities, because sincerely speaking, our hostels are nothing to write home about. To some extent, there are a lot of things that we need to take care of in the hostel. Yes. So, and then my colleague have also said about the school fees payment. The school fees is actually kind of high due to a lot of things.
Most likely it's for their own selfish interest, because that is how they are. It could be for their own political interest one way or the other. I do know that it's not going to affect me positively, but what I just have to say is that her coming shouldn't just be for their own selfish interest.
Let me use one school for 3 days now. You know they get lights. Governor come. I know we got the state. Governor come, they reserve fuel. They know 100, they reserve fuel because governor there. Immediately governor go, they off jail.
The First Lady is visiting Imo to attend the Women August Meeting Grand Final ceremony, but the students are hopeful that the visit will have a positive impact on their lives, even as they seek a quick end to the sufferings caused by the fuel subsidy removal.
In other news, the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Federal Universities in Nigeria on Friday denied allegations of offering bribes to members of the House Committee of Ad Hoc Committee investigating racketeering in federal agencies of government to obtain favors. Now, the Vice Chancellor said rather they are eagerly awaiting the conclusion of the work of the Ad Hoc Committee, as they have confidence that it will help them address the issue of shortages of manpower across universities. The Vice Chancellor, University of Jos, Professor Ishaya Tanko, who spoke on behalf of the Vice Chancellors when they appeared before the committee, says, to the best of his knowledge, no money was sent by some Vice Chancellors other than the ones meant for a foreign exchange for Vice Chancellors to attend an international workshop organized in Birmingham in the United Kingdom, which is set to begin on September 5th. The chairman of the ad hoc committee, Yusuf Gaji, said the committee has resolved that it will not be distracted from the central issues it is currently investigating. According to him, the publication was aimed at diverting the attention of members of the committee.
We also, surprisingly, read the very, very disturbing social media, kind of publication. And I can say that the vice chancellors are not part of that. The vice chancellors have not provided any bribe to anybody. The vice chancellors, dispersed from this National Assembly, from this committee that day. But I want to assure this committee, on behalf of the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, that we have hope and confidence in this committee, in this ad hoc committee, because I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, as we speak, more than 5 programs of the University of Jos are in danger of not receiving accreditation because of this issue of employment.
The matter is before investigating authority. So the chairman will be fair, the committee will be fair. We thank you for coming. We have no question to ask. If I had behaved like this yesterday, so that some people will not feel you are shouting, you are angry, to intimidate people from saying the truth.
Now, the Corps-Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Dauda Alibiu, has expressed deep shock over the death of a tow truck driver in a road crash at Kauru Bridge in Abuja. The crash occurred on the Nyanya-Mararaba Expressway on Friday in the course of towing a broken-down trailer from the crash scene. A statement by the Corps Public Education Officer Bisi Kazim says an investigation revealed that 4 persons were involved, 3 of whom sustained different degrees of injuries, with the driver being the only death. Only the 2 vehicles, the truck and the FRSC tow truck, were reportedly involved in the accident. BU has commiserated with the management and staff of the Corps over the loss of the personnel. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Friday has approved the appointment of Khalil Suleiman Halilu as the new Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI. A statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngilali, says this appointment of Khalil Suleiman will serve for an initial term of 5 years in accordance with the relevant sections of the NASENI Act of 2014. Halilu, who is 32, is expected to bring his significant experience as an innovator and technology expert to bear in this important new national assignment. The statement further says that the tenure of Dr. Bashir Gwandu as Executive Vice Chairman and CEO of NASENI has been terminated. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, few days to the end of his tenure, appointed Dr. Bashir Gwandu as Vice Chairman of the agency, and Gwandu's appointment came on the heels of the withdrawal of the 2-year further extension of former Vice Chairman Professor Muhammad Sani Haruna, who has been in the position for the past 10 years. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead after the break, we take a look at Adire traders and their concern over the influx of adulterated products coming in from China. On this and many other stories coming up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories at this hour. Nigeria Labour Congress is set to begin a 2-day nationwide strike over the effects of subsidy removal. Nigerians remain skeptical about subsidy removal as some want a reversal of the policy to address Nigeria's current economic hardship. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared his unwavering support for a partnership between the Federal Ministry of Health's National Eye Health Program and the Peak Vision Foundation to provide more than 5 million pairs of eyeglasses to Nigerians with sight impairments. And the president received the founder and CEO of Peak Vision Foundation and co-founder of the Vision Catalyst Fund, Professor Andrew Batraus, and highlighting the pressing need for improved eye health service across Nigeria. The president is concerned that more than 24 million Nigerians are grappling with varying degrees of vision impairments.
But the contribution to the knowledge and economic development of a nation will depend on the care we give to our people, particularly the most vulnerable and the needy. And what we are doing is tremendous, and we have a phenomenal impact on the people. The Honorable and Coordinating Minister for Health has said it all. I am in support, and we encourage the mobilization of fund and commitment to see this through, to reach our vulnerable and the children in our schools.
The fund aims to raise $1 billion as a catalytic fund. It will not be enough, but that's sort of multi-country, $1 billion, that's their aspiration. Using alternative finance, engaging funders and other sectors to do what they had laid out to do for health, but also linking to educational outcomes.
And when I look at the situation in Nigeria, I see a mix of real hope and real challenge. The estimated numbers today are around 24 million people with vision loss in Nigeria and about 1.3 million blind. The tragedy in it is 90% could see tomorrow if they could access quality treatment. And that quality treatment is not complex things. It's either a pair of glasses or a cataract operation for the majority.
President Bola Tinubu has solicited the support of the United Nations in Nigeria's fight against terrorism in light of its impact on global peace, displacement of people and rising poverty. He made the appeal during an audience with the Under-Secretary or Secretary General of the United Nations Office on Counter-Terrorism, Vladimir Voronkov, at the State House in Abuja on Thursday. The president noted that terrorism has consistently reversed the gains in development and increased instability in families and communities. He said that the United Nations needs to be more consistent in dealing with the issue in the developing world. Tinubu says global peace and prosperity would demand the swift and comprehensive provision of the right answers to the challenges posed by insurgencies in this part of the world. Still talking security, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taurid Alagbaja says he is determined to address insecurity and insurgency in northeast Nigeria as well as security across the country. He stated this during an operational tour in Borno State. Bitrus Grossi has more on his visit.
The Chief of Army Staff operational tour in Borno State makes it his second visit to the state ravaged by insurgency. The Chief of Army Staff received briefings at Maimalari Cantonment from senior officers of Operation Haɗin Kai on challenges and strategies to enhance security in the region. The Chief of Army Staff said the issues raised at his interactions will be addressed and it will come up with a template in tackling insurgency, kidnapping and banditry in the country.
The whole essence of coming around this time is to have an opportunity to go around and physically interact with the troops, hear firsthand from them, so that the Army headquarters can take appropriate actions on the challenges confronting the formations and units in the theater in the bid to bring more stability to the people of the state. And so, from here, I'll be going around to all the sector headquarters in Damaturu and even here in the Malari Cantonment. I will hear from the troops and take necessary action to address the challenges that we have observed developing in the theater, the challenges of kidnapping of civilians on the highway and the use of IED to attack civilian vehicles, convoy traversing the roads.
The Army Chief commissioned 30-unit accommodation for troops at the Mai Malari cantonment before departing for Abuja. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
In other security-related news, the Plateau State Police Command has intercepted a truck loaded with dry leaves suspected to be Indian hemp in Kwata area of Jos South local government area of the state. The State Police Commissioner, Okoro Julius, while parading the suspect, says the arrest was made possible following a tip-off which the command used to apprehend the suspects. He said when the vehicles were searched, 100 bags of dry leaves suspected to be Indian hemp hidden under gin cartons were discovered. The Commissioner of Police further says that the suspects, vehicles and exhibits are currently in police custody, adding that efforts were being intensified to apprehend the fleeing suspect as the investigation continues. The police boss called on Plateau State residents to be security conscious, report any suspicious activities or persons and provide useful, timely and accurate information to help the police fight crime and criminality across the state.
And they were able to intercept the truck, the trailer, loaded with bags of dry leaves suspected to be cannabis, concealed with cartons of dry gin. And 4 suspects were arrested, the driver and 3 others. They claim to have conveyed the items from Lagos, and their destination was Plateau State. Unfortunately for them, our men on patrol, the policemen on patrol, intercepted them and brought them here. We are yet to know the owner, the person that sent them on that errand. And therefore, investigation is on in full gear to bring all the culprits that are involved to book.
And in Bauchi, the State Police Command says it has repelled an attack and neutralized 5 members of a criminal gang who have been terrorizing Jamari town, and the command stated this in a release signed by the Public Relations Officer, SP Ahmed Wakil, on behalf of the State Police Commissioner, Awal Muhammad Musa. According to him, a combined team of operatives in conjunction with a quasi-security outfit encountered the suspected kidnappers and bandits that recently attacked a market and kidnapped a businessman in Jamari. Some of the items recovered include 3 AK-47 rifles, 1 SMG rifle, 3 empty magazines and 105 live round ammunitions and 1 cutlass. Wakil maintains that the police operatives in collaboration with local hunters were carrying out routine surveillance checks and raids of suspected criminal hideouts when they came under fire from the criminal gang. The operatives fought back gallantly, according to the statement, repelling the attack and eventually neutralizing 5 of the gang leaders, while the others fled. He added that preliminary investigations have revealed that the suspected kidnappers and bandits were responsible for terrorizing Buji, Mashima, Itasgado, Gwaram, Sara, Birningudu, Ningi and Bura areas of Bauchi and Jigawa states. Now, traders of indigenous Adire fabrics in Ogun State are seeking a protectionist intervention from the state government to end the incursion of adulterated Chinese Adire products in Nigerian markets. The traders specifically called on Governor Dabo Abiodun and the State House of Assembly to ban the sale of adulterated Chinese Adire in their local markets, saying this would help save the culture and the heritage of the product.
The traders made their feelings known during an advocacy walk through major streets within Abeokuta metropolis. The walk, which terminated at the palace of Alake of Egbaland, was to sensitize the people on the dangers of the invasion of adulterated fabrics. At Alake Palace, the protesters displayed the differences between locally made fabrics and the imported Chinese Adire, noting that the proliferation of the Chinese version is to the detriment of the local markets.
After this invasion of the China made, these guys, ladies that are doing these fabrics, that are batik designers, that are tie and dye artists, that are into this industry, so many of them have lost their jobs. So many of them have lost their jobs. And if we should open our eyes and say we are not concerned about what is going on, if youths are losing their jobs, we all know that the society will not be at rest.
The responsibility of the government to protect the populace. And I think it's the high time for the government to come to the rescue of indigenous textile and promote and protect the indigenous textile, because it goes a long way. We are saying made in Nigeria. We are saying let Nigeria economy grow. How can Nigeria economy grow if we start having piracy of indigenous cloth? If we cannot help the SME, so then what are we talking about? The people, we people in this industry, we are the SME, and every nation that doesn't protect the SME is going to have economic back down. So we are still appealing to government. They should step in. We need raw materials.
While expressing hope that the issue will be properly handled, they said it has led to loss of job for small and medium-scale entrepreneurs in the state.
All right, time now to join Chiamaka Nwafo for today's briefing in business.
The federal government is working towards ensuring that the Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, winds down as soon as possible. Wale Edun, Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, disclosed this on Friday. Established by the Act of the National Assembly of Nigeria in July of 2010, with an intended 10 years lifespan, AMCON has till date recovered just about 1.6 trillion naira out of its 4.664 trillion naira accumulated liabilities on well over 10 years of existence. Managing Director Ahmed Kuru confirmed recently that the corporation still has a long way to go out of the total of 4.664 trillion naira liability burden in terms of cash and sale of assets. According to him, about 350 obligors account for 3.957 trillion naira, representing 84% of the total outstanding amount. The Central Bank of Nigeria plans to issue a total of 1.21 trillion naira treasury bills in the fourth quarter of 2023, as the same amount will be maturing between September and November of the same year. Africa's largest economy's Apex Bank discloses in Nigeria's Treasury Bills program calendar released on its website. The amount to be issued in the last quarter of the year is 6.14% higher than 1.14 trillion naira issued in the second quarter of the year. A breakdown of the Treasury Bills program to be issued in the next 3 months, which represents an amount that would mature during the same period, consists of a total of 23.98 billion naira for 91-day tenor, 31.26 billion naira for 182-day, and 1.15 trillion naira for 364-day tenors. The CBN issues treasury bills twice in a month to help the federal government fund its budget deficit, support banks in managing liquidity in the system, and curb inflation. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Now let's take a look at developments on the international scene. And Algerian authorities have shot dead at least one Moroccan tourist after a group of 5 strayed into Algerian waters on jet skis, according to one of the witnesses. Only 2 of the members of the group returned home, saying, according to relatives of the victim and the family of a second man who is missing and is presumed dead. The incident took place on Tuesday after 5 men lost their bearings while exploring the sea on their jet skis near the Moroccan coastal resort of Saidia on the border with Algeria, according to Mohamed Kassi, who is one of the survivors of the incident, who said that his brother was killed. Now, the border between Algeria and Morocco has been closed since 1994, and the 2 countries have had no diplomatic relations since Algiers cut ties with Rabat in 2021. Speaking in a video published by Morocco's Le 360 news site, Kissi says the group of friends had been approached after dark by an Algerian government vessel. He said he heard the boat firing on the group and said his brother Bilal and another man, Mashour, were both shot dead in the encounter. Another member of the group was also detained by the Algerian authorities. Moroccan authorities say they could not comment on the case, calling it a judicial matter. Now, the military coup in Gabon has elicited mixed reactions from members of the public across the global space. In what appears to be a reaction to the Gabon coup, the Cameroonian president, Paul Biya, has reshuffled military positions in the country. Now, while featuring on Trust TV's Africa Update, a Cameroonian politician and humanitarian worker, Fabrice Lena, says Cameroon is a country yearning for democratic change.
So Cameroonians are anxious, Cameroonians are impatient, Cameroonians are like, oh, many of the guys are not talking today. You can read it all over the social media. Some are wishing that Cameroon could also fall into the hands of the military. Meanwhile, others are like, oh, okay, are we abandoned? Has God forgotten about Cameroon? What is our situation? And, you know, this kind of calls and declarations and talks is coupled with the fact that Cameroon has never had free and fair elections since multipartism. And of course, you know, many guys are actually wishing for a military takeover in Cameroon now. But for us, we do think that when you wish for something, you should be ready for it, because we must take precaution as to who is actually and who is capable. And of course, when you look at Cameroon military since 1984 coup attempt that failed, April 1964 coup attempt that failed, there have been a lot of grip, divide and rule by the president, who controls nearly all factions of the military with strong grip. And he keeps one faction of the military to control the other. And it makes it very difficult for Cameroon to have a true revolutionary military, except otherwise, as one could say never in this kind of situation. But even if they reshuffle, guys who would want to perpetrate, who would want to take it in the form of a revolution, they will still do that. They will absolutely do that. So this will not stop people who already have a plan or hinder them to carry out their plans. I'm sure of that.
Talking sports now, Everton midfielder Alex Iwobi is set for a medical at Fulham after a deal which could reach £22 million was agreed. Meanwhile, João Palhinha of Fulham has been given permission to travel to Germany by the Cottagers as talks continue over a deal with Bayern Munich. Alex Iwobi has played in 2 of Everton's 3 Premier League games this season, but missed Saturday's home defeat to Wolves with an injury. The Toffees are yet to pick up a single point so far. The 27-year-old Nigerian midfielder joined Everton from Arsenal in the summer of 2019 and has made 123 Premier League appearances, scoring on 6 different occasions. Liverpool has rejected a £150 million bid for Mohamed Salah from Saudi Pro League side Al Ittihad. The bid for the 31-year-old forward was for in excess of £100 million with add-ons, taking it up to £150 million. Liverpool remain insisting that the Egyptian international is not for sale and that is final for as far as the club is concerned. Salah, who joined the Reds from the Italian side Roma in 2017, signed a new 3-year contract extension last summer. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp said last week that Salah was, quote, 100% committed to Anfield, and on Friday he reiterated the club's stance that the player is not for sale. Liverpool would have little time to react to Salah's potential departure, with the transfer window closing on Friday for incoming deals involving Premier League teams. Well, that's the size of our package tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Feel free, as always, to follow us across our social media platforms to keep up with our content, and visit trusttv.com for more news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching the news, and good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.